Welcome back to Seriously Funny. I'm your host, Mashnur Kabir, and I invented the kidneys. This week, we talk about quite possibly the hardest Ramadan I've ever had to do in my life. If you're not privy, Ramadan is an Islamic thing that happens at some time every year. It's based on the moon cycles rather than months or a specific day of the year, so it kind of ends up being at a different time. Sometimes, if you're lucky, it could be in winter, where the sun comes up pretty early. It's early, right? Yeah, the sun comes up around like 4 or 5, and the sun goes down really quickly around like 7-ish. And then that's awesome. If you're really unlucky, it's spring or summer, like I'm experiencing right now, in which the sun comes up pretty early and the sun goes down pretty late. And so, anyways, for 30 days, from sunrise to sunset, so around 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. at least this Ramadan, that was about the average time. You aren't allowed to eat or drink anything. Yes, drinking water will also break your fast for these 14 to 15 hours. Also, recording with the rear camera, since like I said, scratch on the screen protector. I'll order a new screen protector, but for now, rear camera. I have no idea how this looks. I'm going to pray to God that I don't have to re-record this, because I don't even know if I'll have time to review the footage. I have to study for an exam tomorrow. We're going to really hope the 20 minutes goes by quick today. Rough. But let me say, after this week, I have one more exam on next Monday, which means that, okay, next episode might be recorded a bit quickly too then, okay? But after that, we're good. It's just you and me for the rest of the summer. I'm going to work so hard as I can, to get out some YouTube videos, to see what I can do this with this podcast, and we can build this together over the 3 months of summer. Even though I have summer classes, hopefully they won't be bad though, okay? But yeah, rear camera, hopefully it looks better. Hopefully it doesn't suck. Hopefully the framing is correct, because I can't see the screen, obviously. I just see a nice Apple logo in front of me. And so I'm hoping that like my head's in a good enough frame. I'm hoping that my arms are not going out of the frame. I'm hoping the lights and everything, you can't see the lamp, and everything works. I'm really hoping. Anyways, let's get on to it. Other than eating and drinking, there's actually a number of ways to break your fast, and a number of things you're supposed to abstain from. To name a few: bleeding, diarrhea, gossiping. Yes, talking behind someone's back can break your fast. And other things: smoking, chewing gum, I was going to say running. Running is fine. You can run as much as you want. You'll hate yourself because you can't drink water, but you can do it if you want to. Yeah, smoking, chewing gum, nutting, it's rough. At the end of the day, if you so much as breathe, you're going to probably break your fast. All right, that's a joke. You can breathe. At least sometimes. Overall, breaking your fast isn't a hard thing to do, like 2-3 breaths per minute. Overall, breaking your fast isn't a hard thing to do. Keeping it is tough and takes a good bit of effort. And you may ask, why do this? What's the point of this? Well, other than the whole, religion, you believe in a religion, you do what it says, right? You all get drunk on Christmas, don't you? Well, please don't do drugs. Well, there's probably a number of different reasons. The one that I usually answer with is for empathy. There's a lot of people in the world that don't get to eat food or drink water for much of the day, and this lets you, for a few hours, experience that. Only like 14 to 15, like I said. Some people have to go 1 or 2 days without any food, and it's pretty rough, let me tell you. And it helps with your overall being more compassionate. With that, along with being able to break your fast pretty easy, there's things that are not good to do. Talking about how you're hungry, asking people not to eat in front of you, etc. If we use the empathy lens again, we can see that homeless people aren't exactly coming up to you and saying, "Hey, can you not eat that in front of me? I'm starving here." Yeah. Things. That's not happening. I think you may have had different experiences than I have with less fortunate people. I have no idea. But I think that overall, a lot of this is really cool, to be honest. Having to abstain from so many negative things is really good. I really like the not being able to gossip thing. I think it's a really interesting practice to put on to people. I think a lot of people don't actually know about that. And so I think a lot of people end up doing it because they don't know. I think most people just think that it's just don't eat, don't drink, but it's definitely way more than that. I think most people I probably can't chew gum, I probably can't smoke. I think they can put that together. Don't put pills in my mouth. But the whole gossiping thing, that one's really interesting, because I don't think a lot of people know about that one. And so I don't know how many actually like pertain to that. But yeah, I think it's a really interesting practice to put onto people, even if it's just for 14 to 15 hours. If it can grow, that practice in people and reduce how much they do it outside of Ramadan, I mean, that's awesome, right? I think talking about people behind their backs is really stupid and honestly a complete waste of time. And now, as for telling people you're hungry, how do I navigate that? I generally don't tell people I'm hungry. Like a lot of times I don't care, right? However, when I'm with my friends that know what I'm doing and they know I'm fine, I will say it as a joke. Like I'll make it funny. They know I'm not serious and they laugh, right? It's meant to be funny. I don't think it's harming anyone. And again, I'm very obviously not serious, and laughing is good. I think that'll slide. One time, my friend came into class at 1 p.m. It was statistics, and said, "I haven't drank water all day." I wonder which camera. There's like 3 cameras on the iPhone 12 Pro. I think I'm gonna go to the 14 when it comes out this year. I think that's gonna be exciting. I want to say it's the top left camera, but it might be the bottom one. It might be the rightmost camera, because I know the bottom left is the ultra wide lens. Anyways, yeah, it's definitely the top one. Yeah, he came into class 1 p.m. Came into statistics a little bit late. He's like, "I haven't drank water all day." And I said, that must be hard, because of course I haven't drank water since 5 a.m. And when he got his water bottle, I told him to drink enough for both of us. So I made him more hydrated. I'm like, you're going to finish, like it's a Nalgene bottle. So it's like this big, it's fat bottle. And I'm like, you're going to drink half of that. You're going to put that bottle to your mouth and it's not going to come off until half of the effing bottle is gone. Okay. And so I made him more hydrated. I think that's a good thing. So I think we're good. But yeah, overall, this practice is pretty tough. It demands an extraordinary amount of discipline, willpower, from starvation to horniness. You need to keep a grip on these carnal desires. And over the past however many years of me doing this, I think I've been doing it for at the minimum 9 years now, at least 9 years. But yeah, it's been rough for the first week or so, but then it usually became pretty okay. And yes, I've definitely done it for more than 9 years, but no, just 9 years. That's just whatever. And for the first week or so, but then it usually became pretty okay. And yes, being thirsty is a much bigger problem than being hungry. Like the thirst will get to you way more than the hunger. And actually, I completely forgot to mention this, but today is actually the last day of 2022 Ramadan. So today's my last day. I'm of starvation and thirstation. I like that. And then tomorrow we're back to normal. I do have an exam tomorrow, and so usually the day after Ramadan there's Eid. That's the holiday where you like go to the mosque real early and you all do the prayer and you all have a good time and you go to everyone's houses, you eat food with everyone, you enjoy the thing of being over and you have a great time and just a lot of giving, a lot of joy, a lot of good time. But I have an exam, so I'm not going to get to participate in nearly any of that, which is a little bit depressing. But what again? Maybe at the end of the day, I'll be able to come home from the exam and because I have statistics that day as well. So that day tomorrow. Oh, for you, I guess this was this Monday, the day this episode comes out. Unless you're watching on video, then it was a week ago. But yeah, it was May 2nd. There we go, to give a date. But it's been rough. It usually when you do this practice, it's been rough. It's rough for like the first week, maybe the second week too, maybe a week and a half. But then after the first first 2 weeks maximum, like it's fine. Like you don't care. It doesn't matter. And to be honest, I was already starving and thirsting myself in school anyways. But usually it becomes not an issue. And recently, though, I had to walk across campus, across my entire campus, and it was 27 degrees Celsius. So I switched to Celsius, by the way. Pretty nice. I will say that Fahrenheit is more accurate in terms of telling you how it feels outside. And the reason isn't that Celsius is inferior exactly. It's just that there's a higher number of intervals. There's a lot more numbers between 32 and 212 than there is between 0 and 100. For Celsius to work full throttle, you need to... I just spit. That was awful. What in the world? for Celsius to work full throttle, you'd need to read the decimal value of the temperature. So like 23.4, 23.5, and that'll give you a lot more accurate reading. However, generally that won't show on your like phone widgets, and it doesn't even show in my weather app or my watch. Like it's 10 degrees Celsius, but it's probably like 10.4 or something. It might be 9.8, right? Like I don't know how they're doing it there. So Fahrenheit just has more numbers. But I've been thinking about going more towards the metric system. I really like that base 10 system. I think it works better. So this is fine. Back to starving. It was 27 degrees C, which is around 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and I had to walk across campus, and I only wear black clothes. I mean, you see this shirt on right now. I'm going to go to campus right after I record this, and let me tell you, I legitimately almost passed out. It was rough. That one was real bad, and that one, I almost ate it on the pavement trying to get across campus on that one. But now, like I've said, I've done this every year for a lot of years now. What's my time? Oh, and we're low on power. That is not good at all. Quick. I need to juice the juice. Big pause. All right, we're back in power, and hopefully I am centered correctly again, because if I'm not, that would be really aggravating halfway through the video if I just shift a few inches and now I'm on the left or the right. But hopefully, I think we're good. Yeah, we're back. Okay, great. That was a solid 2 minutes gone. But now, like I've said, I've done this every year for a lot of years now, like 9 to 11 years, somewhere around that. And I'm going to be honest, with you. This year has been the hardest Ramadan I have ever experienced. It has been absolutely tough. The hunger and the thirst isn't the problem. You know, I can deal with that. I don't eat much anyways, honestly. Like it's just not a problem. The act of avoiding desires just depletes my willpower like crazy. Like that's the issue. For eating, to be honest with you, like the past like month or two of school, I was eating like one meal a day anyways. Like it was not healthy, but like avoiding desires in general just depletes my willpower like crazy, whether that be avoiding food and water or avoiding hentai. It's rough, man. I don't know if my willpower has decreased or I just got dumber, but trying to do schoolwork while I'm fasting has been an experience and a half, let me tell you. A lot of times I end up picking up my phone, which is not something I usually do. I don't very much get distracted by my phone at all. It just doesn't happen. We talked a few weeks ago about willpower and ego depletion. We had that episode, and we learned that willpower is a finite resource that we all have over the day. As you continue to resist temptation, your willpower, your manometer as it were, depletes, and that makes it so that you become less capable at resisting later temptations. Fasting really has thrown a brick into my daily schedule this year. This lack of willpower has made me more aggressive. It made me miss my meditation since I go to sleep after eating. Again, 8 p.m. is when the fast ends. I usually eat dinner at around 7 p.m., which lets me brush my teeth, finish up whatever I was doing, meditate, and then go to sleep. But 8 constrains me to, 8 o'clock constrains me to not being able to do those things since I finish eating at the earliest around 8:40 p.m. And since I went the entire day without sustenance, I'm not exactly filled with energy by the end of the day, considering that I'm still waking up at like 4:30 in the morning, which is like 30 minutes before I normal for me anyways. And the tired thing has also screwed me a bit. I've nearly fallen asleep in a number of my classes, most of which are in the morning around 9 a.m. I've never actually became like tired over Ramadan. I mean, it makes sense, right? You don't have food, you don't have energy literally in your body like for it to use or consume and to produce. But this has never actually happened to me. My energy level was never like so greatly diluted, and over the physical energy, other than the physical energy, my brain has stopped working completely. I'm not sure if it's because I'm in college and my work is harder and it takes more brain power, or I've legitimately just gotten dumber. Probably both, to be honest. But I'm unable to do work after a certain time in the day, especially like when I get around like 5, especially 6 p.m. I just I can't do it. I just can't. My brain will say nuh-uh, no more. Like nothing will go in anymore. Like it's just not there. It's rough and it's not a good time. Overall, this has probably been the hardest Ramadan that I have ever done. I've never actually been so significantly impacted by not having food or water in my body. I have no idea what the cause is, but it has been an experience and a half. From the tiredness to the dumbness to the horniness, it has been a rough one for sure. I'm never really looking forward to Ramadan ending. It's not an issue, but this year I have definitely been counting the days, to be honest. And I'm a little bit excited that this is the last day, to be completely blunt. I am excited to wake up tomorrow. I'm probably going to pray by myself at home. I won't be able to make it to the mosque, but I'll get up early, 5 o'clock, like I normally would. And then I'll shower. I'll do the thing by myself. I'll eat. I'm so excited to go. I'm going to go buy coffee from Starbucks, and I'm so hyped for that. Okay. It's going to be so good. At like 7 o'clock. It'll be wonderful. And I'll get to eat a breakfast too. I don't know what that will be yet. Maybe I'll buy a sandwich. I have no idea. The semester has like 4 days left, and I need to spend the money I have on my account. Otherwise, they just like take it. So I got to do that. But excited that this one's coming to an end. And we're going to talk about the next one right here. But in all of my pain aside, let's talk about what actually matters. Hentai. Wait, hold on. I'm reading the wrong script. Okay. Yeah, all right, we're back. We have okay. What have I learned from this? What have I learned from this one? What have I learned from this Ramadan? I think it's important that either before Ramadan you make a goal that you want to strive to over the course of the. I wrote 30 months. No. The goal that you want to strive to over the course of the 30 days or after Ramadan, you reflect on it and think about how it's been and what you've learned and what you've gained. Etc. The first lesson that I always get from this is really just understanding the importance and the value of food and water. Eating is pretty cool. Having the ability to eat when I want, as I want, is pretty cool. And without getting to social justice warriors, oh no, I'm privileged stuff. Like you get the point, right? Like you starve yourself for long enough, and you'll probably enjoy a meal than you normally would. This isn't rocket science, okay? There's no moral high ground here. It's just like common sense. You don't know what you have until you lose it. And I lost food and water for 30 days. And hentai, which is arguably worse. And so, you enjoy it more when you get it, right? And you think like, okay, this is what this means to me. When I don't have it, when there's a hole, you can see how deep that hole is. And then you can think like, wow, like this is how important this is to me. And, the hentai is really important, let me tell you. Aside from that lesson, which is kind of the main one that you're really meant to learn, like that's still like the main, like that's kind of the main point of like, hey, especially in the religious context, like, hey, be grateful that God gives you food and water and whatnot. And so, aside from that one, I think this Ramadan being my hardest and all, it really just said to me that my willpower, my discipline, and overall my life is not at all at the level that it's just not at the level I want. I'd become complacent with where I was, with what I had going on, with the willpower I was at, with the discipline I was at. I got to a point where my self-control was pretty good. My discipline was pretty good. But after this Ramadan, it told me somewhere along the line that I've dropped the ball. And maybe part of that is like, I spend my entire day with electrical engineers. They all have the self-control of baby carrots on LSD. They just don't have any at all. They can't bring themselves to do anything. The entire, it's just procrastination on top of procrastination. And even they're geniuses. They're much smarter than I'll ever be in my entire life, ever. I can study for 50 years and I can put them in cryosleep and they'll still wake up smarter than me. But man, they're picking their phone up every 2 effing seconds. They are not very well structured in the day. Some are, right? But most of them really just are, roughing it out, just being smart, getting by somehow. It's something. But for like, maybe that's made me complacent and like just it inflated my ego. It's like, I'm better than these people at the very least, right? But I need to put more focus and effort into the keystone habits of my life and implement a lot more structure. Can I say that starving, thirsting, and hornying myself is a really good excuse as to my lack of discipline, inability to focus, etc.? I probably could, right? Like I could say that, oh, well, I'm starving, like I'm so much willpower draining and whatever. And that's going to cause all of my things. But the thing is, like, I'd like to take responsibility for myself and my actions. The reason, I've talked about this before, we've talked about fault and responsibility. That was the last episode on YouTube that got like 30, 40 views before I dropped off into the single digits again. But I'd like to take responsibility for myself and my actions. The reason I've talked about before is that when you blame other things, you have no control, right? You can't do anything. If it was Jeanette's fault or Janet's fault, that but if it was you, if it was on you, then it's on you, right? Like, if it is your responsibility, you can do something about it. So I'll blame it on me. Even the fact that I'm a human being who needs glucose in my brain in order to function, I'll blame it on me. But I'm sure that I can figure something out. I definitely need to get back on my stuff, and more than that, more than just getting back to like eating somewhat correctly, meditating every day. Trying to do some form of exercise every day, making sure I'm going to bed and waking up on time. I still took cold showers. That stayed. That's always going to stay in my life at this point. But the other things I said, like those things, next year I don't know if I'll have any friends at all. So that might be a little bit rough. I'll see what I can do. But I think that I need to get back on those things, of course, and I will. Like I'm over summer, I'm definitely going to do that. I just know that's going to happen. I know for a fact I'm going to be able to do that. But the thing is, like what I really need is where is it? I just said all of that. What I really need is like, how can I keep all of these habits up? How can I keep all of these pillars up when school starts? How can I keep all of these pillars up when I have all of this schoolwork and stuff? Because I can do this between summer classes, which are just marketing classes, which will take at the max like 10 hours a week. I can do that with the classes, with the marketing classes, with my part-time, with the YouTube, with this podcast, and I can do it really well. And I will still have free time to watch anime, to read manga. Like I'll be able to do that. I'll fit everything in. It will work, and I will still get a ton done every day. But when schoolwork starts, my electrical classes, my electrical engineering classes, then everything falls apart. Like especially after the first like month at the at most of the classes. Like at the beginning, it's like yeah, I can manage. This is fine, and then the workload just gets worse and worse and worse. And now you have a project, and now you have a report, and now you have a lab, and now you have a final, and like now you have an exam. Like it just gets rougher and rougher, and it always degenerates. But how do I keep all of that happening? I have no idea. I'll figure it out, and we'll have a podcast episode on it, I'm sure. So until then, let's just be degenerates together, okay? Overall, it's a pretty depressing situation when you realize, what's my time at? Way too far. Overall, it's a pretty depressing situation when you realize that you suck at everything and you weren't as good as you thought you were at something. Yep. What am I doing? Something you thought that you were good at. But hey, Ramadan is all about learning and starving and hornying, all of the things. So overall, let's hope the next one is better. In better news, other than the fact that I said that you're supposed to keep the complaints down while you're fasting, and I just spent the last 20 to 30 minutes complaining about how my brain and body stop functioning, let's hope this last day of fasting ends strong. I have my first final exam tomorrow in physical electronics on God knows what, to be honest. I have been reading the Tokyo Ghoul manga. I'm not that far. I'm on chapter like 11, 12. It's definitely 14 maybe. It's definitely different than the anime. I'm really excited to see where the manga takes it, because I know it's definitely different. I might pause reading it in a week, however, because I really want to read, and I'm going to start reading Oyasumi Punpun over my summer break, which is going to be absolutely amazing. As for anime, I haven't really watched any. I've mostly been reading the manga in my spare time, which I don't have much of. And to be honest, like, anime is it's a event. Okay, you have to sit down for at the minimum 20 minutes, and you have to watch it. And you have to have your entire focus. You have to have your entire focus on it, because you have to read the subtitles and you have to watch it, right? So if you lose concentration for even a moment, since it's in Japanese, and even though I've watched manga for like 5 effing years, like way more than 5, I've been watched manga. I've been watching anime for around 9 years. Even with all of that, right? Like, if you don't pay attention to the captions, and you're gonna lose what's happening. Then you're gonna have to go back, right? So you have to full focus on anime. And again, like 20 minutes, I don't want to pause like in the middle of an effing episode. But for manga, like when I'm waiting for the bus, I can pop out a chapter or two. When I'm on the bus, I can pop out a chapter or two. When I'm just kind of doing nothing, I can just pop out a chapter or two. Like, it's just a lot easier, a lot simpler, a lot more easy to manage. But I'm really gonna. I want to read Oyasumi Punpun, which is going to be absolutely amazing. As for anime, like I said, haven't watched any, because the manga is just so easy. But when I record my next episode, I will have finished all but one of my exams, and then I will have more time to spend on the YouTube and spend on personal projects and longer, more heavily researched topics for this podcast and the YouTube. Until then, though, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Seriously Funny. I will talk at you next week. Much love. Peace.